The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners and be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective on how to grow and scale a business. Not only leadership, but real life examples. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.
I want to give a shout out. It looks like Marshall might be in his kitchen or maybe a bedroom or something, but he's got a 10X kid with him because he's 10Xing his family. So Marshall, big shout out to you, bud. Going, yeah, look at them. That's right here, Marshall. I'm going to unmute you real quick. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the group and who's the special guest you have with you. Where's he at? Did he disappear? Uh-oh. Marshall, what's your business? What do you do? Why just show up? And who's the special guest you have with you? Oh, let's send you another unmute. Is mine working, guys? Okay, there we go.
There we go. I'm a commercial real estate investor, buy mobile home parks, duplexes, stuff like that. And this is my little 4-year-old daughter, Isabella Sonia, right here. So next one is going to take over my empire when I'm gone.
Love that. Love that. And if Elena Cardone somehow appeared on this call, what would you ask her?
How is it to live with Grant? Is he always, always like just, because we're both from Lake Charles. That's what's crazy about it.
Man, that's what everybody wants to know, isn't it?
That's
Is
awesome.
the same Grant, the Grant you see on YouTube, is it the same Grant at home? Everybody always wonders that. Enrique, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you kicking things off tonight. Josh, the good-looking Dawson, always delivers, never lets us down. Dr. Ashley Edwards always has the right prescription for us. Isn't that right? Somebody say absolutely. Hey, so my name is Buck Wise. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Cardone Ventures. If you've never been here before, I want you to put in the chat right now, brand new. Put brand new in the chat if you have never, ever been to a 10X Owners Live and you're like, what is this weird live Zoom call with hundreds of business owners? If you're trying to figure out, okay, Joy, brand new, good to meet you, Joy. Alicia is new, nice to meet you as well. Colby, brand new. Colby Morrison, hey, put where you're from too and what kind of business you have. I'd be really curious where we're getting brand new business owners. What city are you in, Joy, Alicia, Colby, and what kind of business do you have? And then obviously, what can we do to help be a better service to you? Christopher from Las Vegas. What's up, Christopher? Thank you very much for taking time. I promise you, this is how many episodes, Bryce? 80, we haven't hit 80 yet? No, close. It's close to 80 episodes. We always deliver. I see the hands going up. The hands are already going up for questions. This is something we do every Tuesday called 10X Owners Live to help business owners, much like yourself, scale your personal, professional, and financial goals. Because at the end of the day, Brandon Dawson, our CEO, says we have one job only, and that is to help you crush it. Absolutely 10X your goals and drive your business to levels you've never seen before. Welcome. This is 10X Owners Live.
The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners and be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective on how to grow and scale a business. Not only leadership, but real life examples. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.
All right, we've got a really great show tonight. I know we do have a lot of questions. Before we get into the special guest of the evening, Bryce is going to let me know when she's ready to roll. How many of you were just at the 10X boot camp? How many of you, I know Sherman was there, say 10X in the chat. Let me see in the chat, how many of you were at the 10X boot camp? And give me the 10X right here on the camera. If there's the visual, that's what I'm looking for. How many of you, I got you up here behind me. How many of you were at the 10X boot camp? Patrick was there. Who else was there? Let's see, I'm looking. Miriam was there. The whole crew was there with Miriam. Who else was there? Keep your hands up. Keep them up. Moza was there. David was there. Karen was there. It was such an amazing event. I know there were so many big takeaways. And you know who made a guest appearance? You know who popped in at the last second at boot camp? The amazing Elena Cardone, who is with us tonight. Put 10X in the chat if you're excited to talk to Elena tonight. It is, the ladies are taking over tonight. That is what I know. Elena, how are you? Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming to 10X Owners Live.
Oh, I'm so excited. I wanted to see what y'all do here, say hello. So super excited to be here this evening.
Yeah, Elena, I know you're getting ready for 10X Ladies. In fact, I was always wondering, how do you get your nails so perfect, yet you box every day? You're in that ring boxing and MMA training. So like, how do you MMA train and keep your nails? I saw your Instagram today, your nail technician, she was very worried about your nails.
Yeah, she's hilarious. She doesn't let me choose the color of my nails. This is the first time she let me put a color on. Normally it's just a nude color.
Yeah, I noticed.
You know, that's right. It's normally nude, but now she said, I actually looked and researched who you are, and you use your hands a lot and you're on camera all the time. So I'm going to give you a color this time. So now I moved up into the lady world of color. And wow, she's just hilarious. Every time I sit in front of her, she tries to get me to take care of my nails. And she's like getting rid of my calloused hands. And she just thinks I'm an absolute mess. And it cracks me up. And I just filmed her today.
I know you're getting ready for 10X Ladies. You got
That's
a big,
what I said.
big event.
I said, I'm going to be in front of my ladies. You got to help me. You got to save me.
You got to represent. You got to look good.
If I can just hold us together until Friday, it'll be good.
Well, you've got some super fans showing up. So every Tuesday, Elena, you know, we do Owners Live to help business owners. And we've got a lot of 10X lady business owners that show up every single Tuesday. And Alicia just said your book changed her life. She loves your book. She's a super fan. So for those that maybe don't know you, Elena, because we do get a bunch of new 10Xers into the network, maybe give just like a quick 1 minute on who you are, where you've come from, and what you're doing. How about that?
Okay. So I'm Elena Cardone, married to Grant Cardone, known as the woman behind the man. I love that, proud of that title. Come from New Orleans, Louisiana. Never really thought of myself as ever wanting to be married, but now I'm married and can't imagine like going through this world having to just do it on my own. So it was a great collaboration.
How long did Grant chase you before you finally accepted the date, before you finally picked up the call? How many calls were it?
It was 13. It was about 26 phone calls. It was 13 months. He called every month, twice a month. This is back in the answering machine days. He would leave a message on my answering machine. I never returned his phone call. And then finally, he left the one phone call because he found out I was a sporting clay shooter at the time. And so he found out I like to shoot sporting clay, and he left a message that was like, hey, I rented the shooting range, da, 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 da. And like, I'm so predictable and it's so embarrassing, but I was like, oh, really? I mean, it's not a cheap sport, especially when you're, you know, up and down in the acting world in your 20s and some, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, he wants to play that game. Yeah, he can pay for my shooting. I know. It's terrible. What did it. That's what did it. So I'm thinking, ha, 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 I'll like, you know, kind of screw him over. And who had the last laugh, right? Now he's got me wrapped around his little finger. It sucks. This is my karma.
So true.
Yeah.
You know, if you know Grant Cardone and you've heard a lot of Grant's books, you know, the 10X rule or be obsessed or be average, you know, he actually, Elena, he gives you a lot of the credit for being the inspiration behind those books. In fact, you were one of the main drivers when the crash hit. Weren't you the one that told Grant, like, get in there and write that book and it's your job, right? Isn't that how it went? Correct me if I'm wrong.
You know, Grant always says, and he hates when I correct his details, but since you asked, I'll tell you. That's kind of how it went. So when 2008 happened, okay, so let me set up the story. So Grant told me, you know, when we first finally got together, He, it was so cute too. Like I never had a guy asked to be my boyfriend that wasn't in the 6th grade or the 5th grade. But when Grant, because Grant knew I was very scared of relationships. I I had a lot of issues that I had to work out. I built up walls, whatever. I was like nobody was getting in this heart. And then Grant comes along. And so we started to kind of date or whatever. And he knew I was really skittish. And so he was like, will you be my girlfriend? And I was like, I don't want to go down this road, and you could see the terror in my face. And he was like, will you be my girlfriend? And he was like, and it was so sweet because he was like, I promise to be faithful to you. I promise, that, all these wonderful things. And he was like, whether it's 3 days, 30 days, or 30 years, I will keep this promise to you. And I thought 3 days.
Wow.
I can do 3 days. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll be your girlfriend for 3, for
That's
sure.
it.
I can commit to 3 days. Anyway, he had promised me early on, he said, people's lives tend to get better when they're around me. I was actually on the first phone call before before the 26 phone calls. We had an initial phone call that went so horrible that then I refused to take his call for the next 13 months. But on that phone call, and I thought he was so cheesy, he actually said, and I moved to California when I was 17 years old, let that process by myself, knew no one. So by the time I'm 17 to now I'm talking to Grant on the phone, I'm in like 28, 29-year-old kind of mode. And in LA, right? And so here's this guy that says, I promise that if you hang out with me, your life will tend to get better. And I thought, oh my God, did this guy really just think like I need a man to make me better? Like, please. So anyway, cut to after all the phone calls, after we're together, we're in the marriage now. Now I'm pregnant with our first child. 2008 happens and he goes white. We're watching Lehman collapse on the news. He goes white. He's in terror. I've never seen that from, swaggy Grant before. And I said, what does this mean? And he goes, it means we're going to die.
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you mean we're gonna die? Like, do I look like death to you? No, you promised me that if I got with you, my life was gonna get better. Remember that from the first phone call? Because ladies don't forget anything. So I was like, now you better go to your office, which was down the hall. We officed out of our house. He didn't have like 1 million employees. There was like one employee that worked in the guest house and his office was down the hall. It's like, now you better go to your office and don't you come out until you figured this thing out,
Wow.
And so I didn't say, go write a book. I said, don't come out to figure it out. And so he was in there for 3 hours. He was in there and I didn't know what he was doing. And I kept thinking, oh man, should I like bring him a meal? Should I get him some water? And then I was like, no, be tough. Like I can't, like, how do I back out of that? Cause I was doing every emotion I could to show how angry I was at him. And so he came out 3 hours later and put the book, the manuscript in my hand and was like, it's a book. It's not going to make us rich, but I know what I did wrong. I know how to get us out of this and I'll never make you worry about money ever again. And he never has.
That's unbelievable.
So he does accredit me to a lot of the vision behind it. Like, there was also a massive fight when I told him he had to become a billionaire. There was like a huge outrage, the audacity of the ungratefulness that is me to expect that from him. And why won't I be happy until blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was like a massive fight. You can understand the pressure that puts on a man. And so eventually...
It is interesting because those books have changed a lot of lives that are here on this call. In fact, if that book has influenced your life in any way, put 10X in the chat. I want to see, actually put the name of the book that changed your life that you read. And I've already seen Build an Empire a few times in here. So even your books, Elena, are changing people's lives. Be Obsessed or Be Average, Sell or Be Sold, 10X Rule. I'm seeing them all. So a round of applause, a big 10X for Elena, right? For influencing a lot of those decisions, because look how it's trickled out into the people that we've developed amazing relationships with today. It's so cool to see this.
Yay. Thank you. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just want to make this one last statement that, Grant is totally a genius at what he does. He's the hammer. He's the builder. He figures it all out. Like, he can do things that I can't do. The only thing I really take credit for is like pushing him to levels that he never saw himself in. And then, because I could see and visualize where he could go and where he should be.
Right.
I just wouldn't settle for him thinking that he's anything less than what I saw of him in my mind.
God, when you hear that, when I see so many heads nodding, I see Chris's head nodding, I see so many people nodding along as you say that, because isn't that like at the basis of any relationship that you have? Isn't that what you want? Isn't it a partner that you want that pushes you to whatever that next level is, to be more, to achieve more? Like, that's why, honestly, Elena, that's why Allie and I, we look up to you, my wife and I, we look up to you and Grant, we look up to Brandon and Natalie. Like, there's so many people that admire the relationship that you guys have, and not just because you love one another, but because of the respect that you have and because of how hard you push one another. You do not let the other one down ever.
And let me tell you, if anyone's having this like glorious fascination or fantasy in your head, like, oh my God, wouldn't that be amazing? And I wish my partner would do that. It's not always pleasant. Like, when I demand these things of Grant, it is a fight. It isn't like, oh, we're lovey-dovey and it's like, oh, like in the movies. It's like, there are some real confront and some issues that have to be looked at, and I'll just give you another example. Like, when I wrote Build an Empire, How to Have It All, I was challenged with my own self and school and stupidity and having to sit still and write a book. And what do I have to say? And nothing I have to say is important. Like all the voices that I say to myself to stop me. Yeah, to stop me. And so it was taking me 7 months, and Grant asked me where I'm at with the book, and I started spewing all of my excuses. And he told me, and he was like, he didn't buy any of it. And he was like, you know what you are? And I was like, what? Like, totally expecting him to be in sympathy and understanding with every single one of my legitimate excuses. But he said, you know what you are? And I said, what? And he said, you're lazy and a coward.
Wow.
Can you believe that? I was furious. I was like, God damn it, I support him. Like, in my head, right? I didn't say this out loud because I have to be artful sometimes. There's a time and a place, and that wasn't it. I was like, let me just deal with this. But in my head, I was like, I am the most supportive person. Why does he treat me this way? I could never even tell another woman that he said this to me, because they would be like, kick him to the curb. Like, how do you let somebody talk to you like that? Which is why I don't talk to anyone about our stuff anyway, because there could be more of an issue of something. Right. But I'll tell you, he knows me well enough in this particular area. Other areas, I need encouragement. I need, you're doing great. And it motivates me to do more. In this particular area, I needed lazy and a coward, because he knows how competitive I am. So I literally shut off everything in my life for the next month and finished the book. I wrote it. I rewrote it. I'm like, I wrote 5 books. It just happens to be called by one title. Like, that's how many times and I did it. And then I got to put my book in his hand and say, how's that from a lazy and a coward? And at that point, stupid me, was like, oh, that's what he was doing? Because Grant took it from me and said, congratulations, I'm so proud of you. And just for the record, not for a second did I ever think that you were lazy or a coward. And I'm like, what? Why didn't you tell me that back then? You know what I mean? But you see what I'm saying? What he helped me do is achieve a goal that gave me something, because I went through something that I never thought I could do, because I never really thought I was smart enough to write a book, and I gave that to myself. And then I see people on this chat that say that changed their life. Like, the greatest gift and the greatest act of love that you can give somebody is helping them achieve their goals and their dreams. So him being like so blunt and horrible. Like I literally hated him. Like our life isn't not always like this big happy place. Like at that time, I was very angry. You know, it was like, I was short. I was still executing in my role as a wife. I still wasn't like being stupid. Like, I don't even want to think about stupid land. I was still doing my duties and functioning within the role, but there was like a little chip on my shoulder until I finally was like, wow, I achieved a goal and a dream. And in that moment, we become closer and more fortified, and we can trust each other more. And that's what keeps us, after 17 years of marriage, 18 altogether, more in love. Like the love for me doesn't come from, you know, the handhold. Like I would love that stuff, but the hand holding, turn off all the electronics, watch TV. I can't, that's a sacrifice I have to make if I'm going to demand a husband to be a billionaire and go get known by 7 billion people on planet Earth. There's no time for that impossible goal to then say, oh, but by the way, you also have to shut off from trying to reach 7 billion people to give me that time. So I've just looked at, I don't compare myself and our relationship with other people. I just like, we're doing us. We're figuring it out. We figured enough stuff out now to be able to just keep the curtain open and say, this is what works for us. Doesn't work for us. But I only tell you that because I don't want you to hear me and think we do have this perfect marriage. It's a perfect marriage for us.
It's perfect for you.
It's not a picturesque fairy tale, like fantasy that you might be thinking of. Like that doesn't exist for us, but we're deeply in love and we keep creating in it. And so I don't want anyone to think, gosh, well, I don't have that. We make it and we create it as we go.
That's really inspiring. And it's a great explanation. I see a lot of comments here where tonight Mike says he brought his wife for the first time to Owners Live. What you have is you have alignment, like, and that's what everybody really is looking for, is that alignment. And I know that, you know, that you have 10X Ladies is coming up, and I want to talk about that, but you have a superpower for other couples to find that alignment. And I'd love for you to share briefly the story of how that wedding that's going to take place here in a few days with Brandon Dawson and Natalie Dawson. I'd love for you to talk about that story where you told Natalie, like, what are you waiting for? Like, you were the glue that actually made that marriage between Brandon and Natalie happen. And, you know, they're in that same scenario. Obviously, they're modeling after you and Grant. Brandon was looking for someone in business that also had their wife or their partner in business. And that was what you and Grant were doing. So you had that influence with Brandon and Natalie, and they were on a call. And Elena, what is it that you said to Natalie that made that spark hit where they realized they were waiting too long?
Yeah, well, so when I see, you know, I'm a visionary. I've said that a number of times. So I see things sometimes faster or in a way that other people don't see things. So I was on a 10X Ladies call. I used to do these calls every Wednesday for 10X Ladies. And Natalie was on the call. And so I was already calling her Brandon, you know, their fiance or wife, whatever. I was like, oh, the wife, fiance, the whatever. And she was like, no, but we're not married yet. And, you know, we're not engaged or whatever the thing was. And so I hung up the call with her and I called her back and I said, well, what is the deal? Why are you not married? You know, do you want to be with him? Are y'all going towards the same goal? Oh, yeah. I mean, do you want to be with him like for forever? Like, is that the mission? Like, because I have to unlock the vision that I see. Because it's confusing to me, you know?
Yeah.
And so
have you heard enough to make a decision, right?
Yeah. And so she's like, oh yeah, but in the future. And I'm like, in the future, I'll want that. And I'm like, but you're going to do it. But you have one foot, like you can't fully commit. You can't fully go all in. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand. Like, why are you waiting? Like, if you're going to build this, like fortify, make it official to where y'all have to depend on each other. You become a unit and you grow and reach a heightened level of success faster together because, you know, and I'm not like, no one can do it. Look, no one can do it alone, period. I'm not saying you have to be in a relationship, but no one can build an empire alone. You can only go so high on your own, and then you need somebody else to help lift you to that heightened level. So no one in the history of the world has built an empire alone. It's never happened. So whether it's, I mean, it starts in the bedroom if you have a relationship, and then it rolls outward. But if you skip the bedroom part, you will at least have to know how to grow and expand with other people in your life in order, platonically, of course, to build this empire. But it should start with the one that's in the bed next to you. So like, anyway, so that's what I said to her. And she was like, you're right. I was like, why would you just not be on that creation? So they got it together like within moments after that. It was really incredible. I was like, thank you. Now my vision is like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I do love that. So
there's no confusion.
So any ladies that are on this call tonight, if you have a man that won't commit, Elena's available for $100,000. She will make your man commit. She will sell the vision. She'll get up, right? Is that a product? No.
That is the product. You know, Daniela, my assistant, she is engaged to Todd Straw.
Mr. Todd Straw, yeah.
He runs the entire Cardone University division, Cardone Enterprises division of the sales task force over there. And they had been together like 5 or 6 years, not putting a ring on it. And so guess what? She did not know this was happening. They read my book together on a vacation. And once Todd read my book, he cognited like, oh my God, this is the girl. This is what we're doing. And he proposed to her. And now I'm going to their wedding, November 27th in Cancun.
That's amazing. That is amazing. You've
next
got 2
weekend I'll be in
Mexico
Cabo. The next
you're like,
November, I'm like ready. My girls get to be flower girls in all of the weddings. So, you know, really I'm doing it for my girls because they love being flower girls.
That is so great. That's amazing. Well, Elena, there's a lot of questions that are coming in. You've told some amazing stories, and we've talked about some of the books that you've been a part of and the book that you wrote, obviously Build an Empire. If you haven't read it, Allie read it. My wife, Allie, read it. I read it. My wife, by the way, works with Elena and EXP. She is an amazing, Elena is just an amazing mentor, an amazing real estate agent here in Florida. And she's got a massive team at EXP and always growing. So that's one side of Elena. But then Elena, you've got 10X Ladies coming up. I'd love for you to explain what is 10X Ladies. And for any dude that's about to tune out right now, I just want you to know 10X Ladies isn't just for the ladies. And I'll let Elena explain, but go ahead and give just a little backstory there.
Okay. So really the whole purpose, I'll say it really short. The whole purpose of why I did 10X Ladies is, you know, it's a branch. I am a vehicle to bring in ladies into everything. Hopefully they find me. I'm the conduit. So they could find me, they relate to me. They wouldn't have found Grant. Maybe he turns, you know, he's too abrasive for them like he was for me initially, or maybe they're not on that entrepreneurial channel where they meet him. But I'm Grant's biggest fan. He's got all these books. He's got all these seminars. He's got all this wealth of information. We have Cardone Capital, Cardone Ventures, Cardone Events, the Project X. I mean, all these things. And I see primarily males using the information, changing their lives. And I looked around and said, I want more ladies into this. So if I can go out and attract the lady audience, they can find me, and then I can turn them over to everything Cardone, Cardone Capital, Cardone Ventures, all this stuff, the 360s, all this other stuff. Then I wanted to be the vehicle. So that's the birth of 10X Ladies. What is a 10X lady? So 10X ladies, a 10X ladies there's 5 pillars to a 10X lady. And you can't be 10X in one and not the other. So this 10X Ladies Power Players Edition is getting ladies firing on all pillars optimally and in abundance. And what that is they're 10X in mindset, they're 10X in relationships, platonic or not, or your spouse, relationships, family. So mindset, relationships, family, business, finance, and health and wellness. So this is to get people, couples, relationships, whether they're with your family, starting first, outward, operating cohesively in a collaborated, coordinated effort in order to reach a heightened level of success. So that this woman, when she leaves the Power Players Edition, she has the tools and the takeaways and understanding and mindset to then go back into her family, be able to boost it, be an asset to herself, to her family, to her community, and bottom lines all over are lifted. Business, finance, health and wellness, you get the idea. And then additionally to that, so those are the 5 pillars, but what 10X Ladies offers is information, support, and networking with each other and for each other. So really briefly, information, right? You have to have the right information. I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind. Prepare to have your mind blown. Okay. I'm self-educated. I look up the words of every word that I don't understand or want to understand fully. Did you know that the derivation of the word information means formation of the mind?
Did not know that.
Yes.
Learning
the derivation
something new
means formation. No, I'm going to blow your mind right now. Okay. It means formation of the mind. It means in formation. So I always thought information, the derivation would clearly mean knowledge. No, it does not. The derivation means formation of the mind. So then I thought even further, right? Knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is power. That's a correct statement. But think about this. If you do not have the right information, then it would be safe to assume that you would have a deformation of the mind. So if you have the wrong information that we've all been indoctrinated with at some point in life, that is acting as a deformity of your mind, a deformation. So 10X Ladies is about getting the right information to then be able to undeform your brain basically and your mind to thinking rightly so that you can actually achieve your goals and your purposes. So that if that doesn't blow your mind, right? Imagine if you have the wrong knowledge, which
and we do. And we know, Elena, we know because we've heard you and Grant talk about the way we're conditioned in school and by our parents to save our money and to not talk to strangers and all those things that were told to us, when really you just said we need people in order to build an empire, but yet our parents teach us don't talk to strangers. It's like, it's so true if you think of the bad information that we put into our brain and how that can affect us, and not just us, but our children and our children's children. I hope everyone's taking notes. I know you have a lot of questions.
I have just, if you want to hear, because I have a couple of other things that might blow your mind too, but maybe not as big as the information, because that was mind blowing for me. So
we want it, Elena.
They come for 3 things. I know that, whatever. Don't judge me. I get passionate, but information, we cleared that. They come for support. Definition of support. Oh, well, there's several, but there's 2 that stand out. There's 2 that stand out that I love, that this is what is involved with the 10X Ladies group. And of course, it's involved here in this group. You're supporting each other. But definition number 1 that I love, it says to show active interest in the success of. That's support. To show active interest in the success of. I mean, can you imagine how much better you could be if you were surrounded by people who support you, who show active interest in the success of you? Like, how much farther could you go? And
Elena, can I, for 2 seconds, can I ask a favor that we have never asked on 10X Owners Live? While Elena is talking, I noticed two people, I'm watching all the heads, two people went and grabbed their significant. I saw Omar grabbing his significant, bringing her in. He's like, get in the room, can everyone go get, if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, I want to see two, there he is. Mike Ledoux brought his wife in there. Guys, bring in the significant, go get them. Let me see you scream out to them. Elena's dropping nuggets. This is how you get alignment. You got to get, there we go. We got, bring them in the room. Bring them in the room right now. I want to see it. Look at the support coming in the room. Go ahead, Elena, keep going. I love seeing this.
I was talking about the definition of support because I'm having this 10X ladies event coming up and what this group is about. I already explained the 5 pillars. We're not going to go through that, but this group is about getting the right information. It's about supporting each other. I was going over the 2 definitions that really stand out for support for me. Number 1, showing active interest in the success of. I left off. This is when everyone ran to go get all their significant others. I said, show active interest in the success of. That is support. Can you imagine how far you could go if you were surrounded by people who actually showed active interest in the success of you? You could go like triple, 10X time further with that person and then multiply them with all the people that you could elicit into showing active interest in the success of you. The second definition means to bear the weight of. To bear the weight of. So, for so long, so many people look at me as a support role, or like, I don't want to be in the support role. Like that's not good enough, or it's not important enough. And I think to myself, these people do not know definition number 2 of support, because support means to bear the weight of. Okay. So if I'm bearing the weight of a Grant Cardone and a Grant Cardone empire, and I'm the support bearing the weight, wouldn't that like intellectually mean that I would have to be stronger than the thing I was bearing the weight of? So I'm in a support role, like that's nothing. I don't think that's nothing. I don't like poo-poo it. I'm just a wife. I'm just a this. No, I'm the support. Like if you really understood what that means, you would wear that as a badge of honor. Like, yes, you're in this is what it should look like. Oh, Elena, you're the support. Deep. It's huge. So can you imagine, like, for all the people in my role, like if I was like, oh yeah, I'm Grant's wife. I'm this, and then they were like, oh, you're the support. Oh my God. Like you're like the strong one. Like, but can you imagine if like every housewife or support woman or support man, however it works in your family, was like admired like that? But it doesn't matter. I don't need that from other people. What I need the relationship people to understand is there's going to be a support role and there's going to be the hammer role. And it's like, you don't like Grant doesn't need to be me to be the hammer, like 2 of us hammering, because so many people come to me, how do I get my wife or husband on the same page? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Are you looking for someone to be going out and hammering phones and being like, are you looking for another you? Because you're you. Like, isn't that what you do? Like why can't you look at your partner and figure out what are their strengths and weaknesses and figure out how to make them work cohesively together? So even though they might not have the same hammer, like beast thing that you do, but what if they have, like me, the support thing with mindset, infrastructure, and support that can allow you to be the best version of you? Like, would that count for something? And then how do you get that instead of trying to like think that they have to be a you?
What a shift in the way you think about relationships and support. That's unreal, Elena.
I evolved. I was like, I had issues. Like Grant can tell you, we had like 4 or 5 years to work like really me. I had to work out myself to figure out how to be like in this relationship, you know, like how am I going to do this? And so I've really had to do some soul searching. I've had to clear some look up some words. I've had to have my own cognitions. I've had to study. I've had to train. I've become self-educated.
Trista said, you are making my brain think in new directions. Wow.
Trista.
So true.
Thank you. And lastly, you know, and we don't have to go into a definition of this, but the 10X Ladies is really about a network of ladies that are really there to collaborate globally with each other to figure out where's the collaboration, how can we use what we have. And, you know, it's about being surrounded by like-minded individuals that gives me power. And a lot of men, yes, you're right. We have a lot of men coming, like some just want to come because they're like, oh my God, please, I'm dying, Elena, you have to let me come in because I'm looking for a powerful woman that I can grow in a 10X way with. So they're like, please let me come to the event. You know, I promise I won't like embarrass you or, you know, do something cheesy, but
they're looking for a 10X lady.
They're looking for a 10X lady and they're like, you can't exclude us. And I'm like, first of all, this isn't men exclusion. This is just, like I said, 10X ladies to bring them into the Cardone empire. So that's how it started. It was never an exclusion of men. It was just a different purpose. It was just to bring more women into the funnel.
But
so
like,
then
can I say something, Elena?
Yeah.
I've known you for 2.5 years. In fact, I knew Elena before I knew Brandon. Elena, you did my syndicated radio show before I ever met Brandon and Natalie. Like I knew you first before I knew anybody. And I've never heard you describe it this way. I don't know if this is something new, but I've read your books and like this is new to me. And I feel like knowing this and understanding this from the man's perspective, I'm a man ambassador now to a 10X lady because I understand the sacrifice, right? The way you're describing it, it gives clarity to me on how much more important the partner is than what the mission is of what I'm trying to accomplish.
That's what I'm talking about. That's all what I've been trying to talk about. And, you know, it's like, you know, and so again, men are coming with their spouses and they're coming, some single guys are coming, they promise to behave. But also, you know, it's really an opportunity for women to be around other women just who understand. Like there's just certain things, it's not bad, wrong. The last thing I want to like we are the complete opposite of the man basher. I'm trying to get families on the same page and restore the family value to society. So that's the last thing I'm going to do is man bash here. Yeah. But having said that, it is also nice to be around a group of women who understand in a way that personally, I don't think men understand how challenging it is at times to be running a business, but yet having to be a wife and having to be a mother. It's just, and having to freaking do nails. Like, I hate this stuff. Like, it is so hard, and hair, and like, this isn't fun. Like I don't go to the salon and think, oh, I'm a woman, I get to have my luxury spa day. It is work, and I hate it. And I tell Grant all the time,
I do love it.
I hate it. I don't have time for this. It's like, anyway. My point is, it's nice to be around women who understand that when I have been going literally for like, there are days where like Danny, my assistant, can tell you like, here's my dinner. Okay. I don't have time to eat. Like, it has to get scheduled in the meeting or it doesn't happen. It's like, so I can be gone from 5 a.m. and have back to back. And now I'm running this new business, EXP. I'm planning 10X. Grant asked me to do something. I forget it. Now he's upset that I forgot it. I got to handle him. I got to handle that. I can't let my balls drop, you know,
I love
behind the scenes. And then
you mentioned that.
Oh yeah.
Like, nobody gets that. You're like, I know that Elena, like, no one knows this, and she would never say this. She just got off an hour call that she does every single Tuesday. She was just on a full hour call for her EXP team. And then she bounced right from that call to this call because I asked her to come on and share this story tonight. She doesn't even get a chance to eat the dinner. She's so humble and she works so hard. And guys, give her a 10X if you appreciate Elena tonight. Put a 10X in the comment for taking time to inspire us and to share her story and give us all of that knowledge, give us all that information this evening. Am I right? So true. We actually, Elena, do you mind if I give a special offer tonight for 10X ladies? We have a very special offer.
Oh God, I don't know what it is. I'm scared because
don't be afraid.
It's
a power pack.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
It's a power pack. So if you know Natalie Workman, go ahead, Bryce, let's put it up. If you know Natalie Workman, she is all about aligning people in your place of work, aligning the employees in your business. So we have something that Natalie Workman does called the People Essentials Workshop. And then of course, Elena aligning at work and at home with 10X ladies and building a true empire. So you're going to get both the People Essentials and a 10X lady ticket tonight, and tonight only. You can get that for how much is it tonight, Bryce? Are we doing $7,497? That is the special. You get both the workshop with Natalie and 10X ladies for $7,497. There's actually a number you can call, 503-536-0997. It's in the chat. The guys are going to put it in the chat again, 503-536-0997. It is tonight only. That is literally only going to happen tonight. So call that number. If you want to be around 10X ladies and learn more from Elena and the rest of the group, you've got a pretty awesome packed house of big 10X ladies that are going to share their story and inspire as well. I know Natalie's going to be speaking. Who else do you have on stage with you, Elena?
Sharon Lecter, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Stormy Wellington. She's the #1 MLMer. Grasp this. #1 MLMer in the health and wellness space in the world.
Wow.
And her story is remarkable. When you meet Stormy Wellington and hear from her and how her tips, it's just beyond inspiring. And then I have Gloria Mayfield.
By being the #1 health and wellness MLMer in the world, she's doing somewhere over 1-point-something million a month, right?
Oh, yes. Yes. The MLM world had to create a new, I don't remember what it was called, but the whole MLM world, like out of all the MLMs, had to create a special award for her because she hit 2 million in a week. It had never been done before.
Wow.
So she's like off the rails. And if you know anything about Stormy Wellington, her mother was a crack addict, went to jail.
Wow.
Then when she was left with her, the mother's best friend, who was close enough to be her aunt, she beat her after the mom went to jail. Then she got put in the foster system. And then you can only imagine what happened there. And she became a stripper at 13 years old to be able to pay $600 to keep the lights on because she has nobody taking care of her. And then she turned.
The odds were against her.
The odds were against her. And now she is a coach, health and wellness coach. She's got millions of followers. She's turned her life around. She had to get right in her mind and not believe all of the indoctrination of the misinformation, the deformation of her mind of what was definitely bestowed upon her, and straighten it all out and get the right information. So she's got right information. She's doing a lot of things right. And now she has, she's willing to share her story with us and to not only inspire, of course, but to give us the takeaways and the tools and the essentials that you need to be able to get to a higher level.
That's so
So
great.
Stormy Wellington, yeah.
I just wanted to say really quickly, I want to thank Christina for making the commitment. Christina in Orange County, California just signed up. She's got the package tonight. She'll get her People Essentials Workshop and 10X Ladies, her ticket for this coming weekend. And then Rebecca in Fort Worth, Texas, she also said she's committed and she's buying that package tonight. So I wanted to congratulate. Who else was, you said Sharon Lecter, Stormy, who else is coming?
We have Gloria Mayfield Banks. We have Natalie Workman. We have Lisa Copeland. We have Patty Aravello. We have Danelle Delgado and Nicole Arbor. Nicole Arbor is like the most outrageous, courageous, whether you agree with her or not, outspoken woman that I know on social media. She's got millions of followers. She knows how to make viral videos. She's going to come in and tell everyone how to do marketing, branding, how to capture the attention on social media, how to really stand out as an influencer so that these power women can actually make themselves known in the community and gain more leverage and inspire and enhance more people's lives.
So great. Hey, before we jump right into questions, there's someone wants the number one more time. Can you guys drop the number if they want to get this bundle tonight? It's 503-536-0997. We got a whole team standing by to answer those calls. So at the very least, write it down. If you want to keep listening to Elena, which I don't blame you, I'd want to keep listening, write it down. The team will be on standby all night taking those calls from you. So 503-536-0997. Do you mind? We have about 10 minutes. Elena, would you answer some questions if we go to them?
Yeah, sure. I see 5 of them.
Okay. Before we answer those questions, this is called, if you know marketing, I love it. It's called earned media. I want you to share. If you received any value tonight, here's what I want you to do. This is your repay for the value Elena has given you. Grab that phone and I want you to open that camera. It looks like this. Grab that camera. And I want you to do a selfie with Elena. I want you to make it presentation mode. Elena's there she is. She's ready for the selfie. And I want you to take that shot, make that Instagram video, Facebook video, and talk about how amazing Elena's been. And then tag her at Elena Cardone tonight.
Thank you.
Tag her. Go ahead. Pose for your shot, Elena. Pose for it.
I wish I had done my makeup now.
You look great.
Is that good? Is that good? Okay.
I love it. So let's unlock Dr. G. I know he's been dying to ask a question. In fact, he's got a little community in the chat here that said, Dr. G, that is a great question for Elena. So Dr. G, welcome to Owners Live. Go for it. You're on the platform.
Thanks, Buck. I appreciate it. Elena, appreciate you, especially for all the information. I'll never look at that word the same. You guys have helped me become successful in multiple different ways. And we have 2 children. And the question I have is, how do you, with success, how do you keep the children grounded and also develop that hunger that was developed in me from trial and tribulations and all these things I went through? How do you do that with Scarlett and Sabrina?
Okay, great question. So from a very young age, Sabrina and Scarlett have been indoctrinated into who we are as a family. They know our mission, they know our core values, and they have an opportunity to participate from very little. So I tell them we are Team Cardone. We want to make a difference for the better. We help people. That's our superhero. We're superheroes. That's what we do. And here's our core values, blah, 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 blah. And would you like to be a part of the superhero family that helps people and makes a difference for the better? Yes. Okay, great. How would you like to help? Blah, 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 blah. And whatever way they want to contribute from very young is the way that they're allowed to contribute. Sometimes they want to cook you a meal. They want to draw you a picture. They want to get on your computer and try to help you. If they're really young, we let them, Also, if we had to go away and be away, I could say, hey, Team Cardone, let's gather around. Mama and Papa have to go on this meeting. We're going to go speak to a bunch of people. Remember, that's what we do. We make a difference for the better. We help people. Okay, well, you're in this little body right now. You can't travel with us on this trip. But what you can do in order to help all the other people, do you want to help people? Yes. Great. What you can do is when you let us go do that, and then we can help change lives and those people can live happier and make a difference. You letting us go is actually helping them, because when I can focus and when Papa can focus on doing what we have to do and we don't have to be worried about you, you're contributing. You're actually contributing. You're on the team when you do that. So can we go out of town? Sure. Yes. Good. Great. Your job is to keep an eye on the nannies, make sure they're protected, they're safe, I give them a job. You see, they're exchanging.
nice.
You know what I'm saying? It's not they get left because we don't have time with them. No, they're brought into the fold. And we've done that with everything. Like, you know, it's allowing them to exchange. I don't believe you can spoil a child with stuff. You can only expect spoiling if you give without expecting them to exchange, because that would be like a criminal, right? A criminal wants something for nothing. So you can't give something for nothing. So they participate in the ways that they can. They do 10X Kids. They did a clubhouse. They shoot videos for Grant all the time. Grant Sabrina and Scarlett make phone calls. Hey, do you want to, buy a ticket to 10X Growth Conference? They're learning the sales. Sabrina and Scarlett go into the office. They clean every single person. We have 160 or 80 employees at this time. I don't know. They empty the waste baskets. They do whatever Sherry asks them to do. They mail letters. They write thank you notes in our behalf. They do things, and they're excited to contribute. And so they're not made to do that. Like, you have to do this or you're grounded. No, it's, do you want to do this? This is how you can help. This is how you can be a team member, and they feel good about themselves. So that's that. And they're, from how Grant and I are and the way that we think, it's unique, so, and we're a competitive family. I don't know if you could, gather that, but we're very competitive. So, we're always competing in this family, who can jump the highest, who can, catch a grape in their mouth, or the first, everything is a competition. So their desire to want to win is already there. It's not like we have to motivate them, because they see it in us, and they're in it. They have the competition. It's just in them. I don't know if it's probably just been the way they were raised. So it's not like they had to be at rock bottom and be like, I hate this so bad, I want out. Like, my logic is, when I'm asked that question, because I do get that a lot, people say, how do you do that? Because I came from this. Well, I came from a lot of misinformation, a lot of deformity of the mind, how I was raised, not particularly by my parents, but by the outside people. And I've had traumas, and none of that helped me. It took me down roads that wasted decades of my life in the confusion. So I want to look at it like this. I want to look at it, okay, well, if I can provide enough information, right? And I can provide a loving environment, like love and care for children, and provide the best atmosphere that I possibly can to set them up to be able to be contributing members of society, to flourish and prosper. How far could they go from that starting point, rather than it taking me all this time to get from here to where I am now? But I can provide them the platform and the jumping part to see, well, can they fast track it? Can they go even further and faster?
Right.
I would rather see them have that perspective, rather than, make them go in the mud and get themselves out of it. And so I don't know if I'm right or if I'm wrong. I don't know if they have to suffer. I don't know. But if my kids are going to be effed up, they're going to be Elena and Grant effed up. Like, if what we did was wrong, I want to take credit for it. I don't want it to be because they were in the mud with wrong information, having gone through the same traumas that we went through. I want to see a different experiment. I want to see, okay, well, what if, and see where that can go. Maybe, I don't know. I'm a visionary. I kind of see in my vision where it will go, but I don't know. So I want to see, am I wrong? Am I right? I don't know. But I know for myself where I think I would be had I had the right information sooner. And I personally think I would be a lot further ahead. I believe Grant and I wasted the first 5 years of my marriage because I hadn't had this figured out. And I think that we're about 10, no joke, I think we're about 10 billion off of the target from where we should be, had I not known this 5 years from the get-go of our marriage. Wow. So that's my perspective on things.
That's amazing.
Powerful.
I like how you added the core vision and values, or core values and vision into the marriage. I didn't even think about that. So Appreciate you.
Bye. Thank you, Dr. G. Appreciate it. Let's go to Mia. We got time for one more quick question. Mia, you are up on 10X Owners Live. We've got the lovely, wonderful Elena Cardone here tonight, just blowing our minds, spilling the knowledge, getting us all aligned and building a massive empire. It really is an exceptional night. Go ahead, Mia.
Thanks, Buck. Hi, Elena. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm so glad I got called, and I'm so impressed with what you guys have been doing. So when I think about you, because I've researched you and Grant for a long time, I think about Spider-Man, and there's a quote that says, "With great power comes great responsibility," and there was a lot going on. So how can you keep the responsibility, and you're in charge of so many people? Like, how can you keep yourself from being crazy? Because with all of these responsibilities waiting on you.
I train MMA every single morning for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. I make that time for myself. It's crazy that I put myself through that much pain to actually be happy. It's weird. But I release a lot of stress that way. And it also conditions my mind to be disciplined and to be humble and to get stronger. So, I prioritize, I delegate responsibilities. I try not to be the superhero where I have to do it all. I really am good at dividing and conquering, and that helps. And then just it's hard, it's stressful. It's a stressful time for me right now with everything I have going on, and including whatever. But, it's also the life that I chose. And I have my purpose so big, and I'm so committed to the purpose that when I really step out of myself and look at the big picture, I go, well, what's more important? That I'm uncomfortable with certain things. And then I'm just okay, so I can be uncomfortable with maybe anxiety or stress, or I failed to do that, or I didn't do this, or I have all this stuff on my plate. I can still have all that stuff going on, and I can still continue to move forward and can still continue to chunk away. So I've just learned how to operate with whatever is going on and not let that as an excuse to stop me or think I have to stop or whatever. It's just, no, my purpose is so big. It doesn't matter what I feel like or how uncomfortable I might be, because that is less important to the big picture.
Love it.
That made
so
sense.
Great.
Thank you.
Mia, thank you. Mia, thanks for showing up. Thank you everyone for showing up. Appreciate you being here every Tuesday night. I want to drop two things really quick. The number back in the chat, so that if you need to get to 10X ladies, you need more of this, what you've been getting tonight in your life. This is what you must attend this weekend, 503-536-0997. Let's get you committed to a 10X life and be a 10X lady, or support your 10X lady if you want to go. How about this?
I'm laughing to myself because I'm still thinking about Mia's last thing, and it just hit me. It's how do I deal with the stress and everything? Basically, I train to kill people, so I never have to kill people.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, Danny, your assistant's in the chat. She said, "Thank God Elena does that so she doesn't kill me." It's so true. It's so true. You know what? Maybe you have a 10X lady in your life or at home that's not here tonight. Surprise her. Get the ticket for her. Make it happen tonight. 503. Put the number up one more time in the chat. It's 503. Write this down if you haven't written it down yet. Write it down. 503-536-0997. And then my second favorite thing that I want you to do tonight is give us your takeaways in the chat. Elena was on a roll, dropping nuggets. And so for some of you, you may have missed one nugget while you were writing another one down. So I want to see in the chat, what were some of the biggest takeaways Elena gave you? I mean, I could give you 5 of my own personal takeaways that I get every time Elena speaks. I listen very closely, and then I apply those things with my wife, and we work on those things together. Information, yes, Russ. That's a big one. Everyone says wrong information. Christopher, yes. More opportunities to exchange with the kids. Cindy, that's a great one. Daryl says information equals formation of the mind. Joy says, do not stop, achieve your purpose. The support, yes, next level. And by the way, next level, I did see your comment earlier that it isn't just the wife. I keep saying wife or girlfriend. What about our daughters, right? Like I've got a 3-year-old at home. I saw your comment, next level. It's so true. I want my daughter to be a 10X lady. And so, you know, she's learning now from me and my wife. You know, so I mean, if your daughter's, I don't know, what's the age limit for a daughter to come? Is it an 18 and up event for 10X ladies, Elena?
I never really thought of that. You know, I think it's just maybe like 13 or wherever they're mature enough to be. Like Saturday is going to be a long day. Like Friday night is the welcome reception party. That's from 5 to 9 p.m. But Saturday is all day. It's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. You're going to come on board. It's on a mega yacht. You're going to come on board. There's going to be speaker, then a lunch break, speaker, then dinner. Then we go up to the top. We have a party. It sets sail. The yacht sets sail. Then we come back and dock at 9 p.m. So if your child can sit and really take notes and be interested, then they're welcome. If it's a young kid that has to run around and it doesn't have the attention for all that, then it's probably inappropriate, because it's not like it's on a yacht. You know, it's not like there's a lot of, you know, although it is a ginormous yacht, so there are other floors to go to, but you get my point.
I do get your point. Yep. Lee, great. Train MMA every morning was Lee's takeaway. Create a perfect life with the kids, raising kids like a team member. I love that one. Elena, thank you so much for dedicating time. I know you need to eat dinner, so we're going to let you go.
It's been there for like I don't know, 2.5 hours, but I'm going to enjoy
that thing up. Oh my God, bless your heart.
No, I like cold food at this point. But
goodness.
Thank you.
Well,
you know, I really wanted to thank you for trusting me with your audience here on the Owners Live. Thanks. I thought I was coming in to listen in. I didn't realize I was going to dominate the night, but I really appreciate
it's all
sharing
about you.
And hearing and your feedback and your contribution. Thank you so much. It was really an honor to be here with you tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Elena. All right, Josh, Enrique, Ashley, I'm going to let you take it away so you can answer all those questions about 10X ladies. If you have questions, you want to know more information, maybe you want to know about Elena's book or where to get it, or she's got Build Your Empire hoodies. Maybe you've got more questions. They're going to answer. They'll stay on as long as you've got questions. You guys have a wonderful night. And thank you again for coming to 10X Owners Live. We'll see you right here, same place, same time next Tuesday.
The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners and be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective on how to grow and scale a business. Not only leadership, but real life examples. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.